Okay, my name's Dustin Betts. I'm the Community and Content Manager at the Founder Institute, and I'm here with Duncan Sham, Product Manager, and Shi Lee, CEO of Sam Email. It's a Founder Institute New York startup that's turning every opened email instantly into a potential customer or a follow-on sale. This past weekend, Sam launched a crowdfunding campaign on Start Engine that's already raised nearly $100,000 when I checked this morning in just the first few days. Duncan and Shi, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so before we really dive into your startup, Sam Email, I'd always like to kick it off by kind of telling us a little bit about yourself, about your own startup journey. So, personal or professional experiences, what was it that led you to founding this company focused on making email more relevant and engaging?
Sure. This is Shi Lee. So I was able to get into the tech industry early on in my career by building companies in the B2B and B2B2C space in Asia and in the States. Through the experience, I was able to collaborate and acquire brands such as IAG, All Nippon Airways, which leading up to what we're building about Sam Email.
Awesome. And I know a little bit, I guess, about, did you want to jump in as well, Duncan? A bit about your personal background too?
Yeah, I come from a creative industry, probably spent over 10 years in there. And my experience and expertise lies within the graphic design, UI, UX design, branding and illustration. And I've worked on many large-scale projects to small projects as well, helping them with all different kinds of design needs. But my main role in Sam Email is designing the product in such a way to help clients reach certain KPIs and key metrics. It's very digital focused. So it's almost like just designing the end-to-end experience for brand to brand.
Awesome. And yeah, I've had the pleasure to spend some time on your website as well as check out the crowdfunding campaign on Start Engine. So I know, because I've read a little about it, that you're basically replacing what you call static email, which probably most people just think of as normal email, with content that's, more engaging. It actually spurs the customer to take action directly, inside the email, but always would, hear the elevator pitch from you, the founder. Please give us your pitch. What is Sam Email?
In fact, I've prepared a presentation to showcase to the audience. It's a very visual product, so I think it's best to show a demo.
Perfect.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Where there's so many emails, so little engagement?
Yeah, looks good.
I'll start with the problem. There are billions of emails sent to consumers by brands and businesses every single day, and a majority of them are being ignored, thrown into the trash or like the spam. And this process of taking a consumer from the brand's email through to the end goal, whatever that is, whether it's purchasing a product or conducting a review, that journey is very cumbersome, and it involves a lot of clicks and links and navigating through different websites. And sometimes, in some cases, it includes logging in or opening up an app as well. The more steps that you involve, the more inconvenient and frustration it causes for the users, and this leads to a high drop-off rate. Now, we've developed a smarter, more intuitive kind of email, one that is dynamic and interactive. The dynamic is where we're able to synchronize the email's interface to a business's database so that we can pull real-time and dynamic information such as pricing and inventory. And the interactive element of the email is like what you'd experience on a website or in an app. For example, hover over states, drop-down menus, checkboxes, and image carousels. So with these features, we're able to retain a lot of the engagement within the inbox itself, enabling a consumer to add a product to a shopping cart, book an appointment, or complete a survey, all without leaving the email. And the objective is to provide a more seamless experience to the user, meanwhile while helping brands to better engage with their customers. And this is what the email looks like.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen an email like what you guys deliver. It's very cool to see.
Yeah, and for our airline customers, we've actually helped them develop a sort of flight check-in application in the email, so that passengers can review a real-time seat map or book a seat with just a few clicks, or within the email itself. And this process would have required a user to log into the airline's website, navigate through multiple pages, just to get to the seat map. And now we've compressed everything into a single email interface. And as a result of this, the engagement rates for our early customers have increased by 200%. The click-through conversions increased about 500%, and the overall sales conversion rose about 40%. And just to clarify, our email solution is adaptable to different email clients, and it's mobile optimized too. So no matter what device you open it on, you're able to take action inside there in a very seamless manner, and everything renders according to that screen that you have. Yep, so that's the very quick demo.
Awesome. Let me switch us back to Brady Bunch carousel mode here. Yeah, perfect. Well, that was really, really cool. It is a very visual product. I'm really glad that we kind of got to show it. And obviously anybody who's interested in checking out more, you should be able to click the link right over to watch, the video that you guys have put together for your crowdfunding campaign. But let's kind of, dive in a little bit more. I mean, so I want to just talk first about the problem. I mean, you sort of mentioned, I think everybody's probably had the experience who's, ever booked an airline ticket, which is most people probably who are watching this, that it's extremely cumbersome. And I think I read on your site that it can take like 30 clicks. So yeah, talk to us a little bit more about the breadth of like this problem of email just not being engaging and how hard it is often to get a customer to do what you want them to do through email.
Yeah, I guess the common problem is that there's an overwhelming amount of information out there, and the kind of emails that we receive from brands today are just not engaging enough, and taking them to a separate web page via a link is probably not good enough because people get distracted. There's a lot of things that probably stop a person from completing a purchase or signing up, to an event. And what we're trying to do is just literally compress all them steps into a single interface and get things done with a few clicks, so we can increase them conversions and make things a bit more seamless for the user, as well as helping the brands get what they need from the consumers themselves. So it's helping both sides.
Yeah, so also I want you to define for us your sort of unique solutions, what you guys call, I guess, the dynamic as well as the interactive. Can you kind of explain that again, or dive in a little bit further and just differentiate again, like how this is so different from normal email or what you guys call static email?
Yeah, let's take the airline use case, for example, right? The seat map has a lot of inventory that is constantly changing. So if you were to send a typical marketing email as you do today, you're not able to reflect that real-time information, right? So that's kind of the dynamic layer. And then the interactive layer is more about creating that, that call for action and have it, within that person's fingertips. So they don't have to go through all these different steps in order to see, this information and, make a booking. We can literally, have everything done with just a few clicks. So that's the benefit of having, real-time information in the email as well as interactive. And, this is not just for airlines. This technology can be applied to many different use cases. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about some of those, because I know you originally built it for the airlines, but can you tell us about like some of those other use cases, or maybe even talk about some of your existing clients and partners?
Sheet, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So airline space is the launchpad for SAM email. through the process, we've been able to align with the top tier brands in Latin America. For example, the largest carrier in Latin America, LATAM. We work with All Nippon Airways, which is the largest carrier in Japan. On the R&D side, we were able to partner with IAG, the parent company of British Airways, to develop and produce a proof of concept and commercialize the product. And as you may know, the company itself is invested by JetBlue Technology Venture. So it's been a great journey so far. Moving forward, we will be able to expand the use cases, taking the knowledge and experience we have with airlines, and provide these offerings to other verticals, such as e-commerce, retail, and just even consumers day-to-day, email communications.
Yeah. One thing I think you had mentioned maybe when we were emailing back and forth was even things like surveys. Just getting people to open links in email is sometimes challenging, and this whole idea of adding this dynamic layer. I mean, yeah, the use case possibilities definitely. It just seems like there's a lot out there.
Yeah, just to speak about that, there's a lot of brands that kind of want to create or collect information about the customer experience, or just general data to help their brands improve their business. But not a lot of people are filling out these forms because it is a cumbersome process. And we're just trying to help, them make that journey just a little bit more easier. Yeah, that's just one example out of many.
Yeah, a lot easier. Yeah, really, really cool. I want to ask you, and I guess this is pertinent, just about challenges you've faced as a founder, and we'll kind of rewind and talk about some of the earlier challenges you've faced, but specifically because the product was first built for airlines. I mean, since COVID hit, I mean, airlines have taken a really big hit. So talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges that you guys have faced since the onset of COVID, and sort of how you've gone about tackling them.
Right, thanks, Tom.
I could talk about the airlines first, since we started out there. We obviously know that the airline industry has been greatly impacted by the pandemic. And although a lot of their operations have come to a halt, they're still working very hard behind the scenes. And we've been liaising with them to, try and find certain solutions that will help them during this time, but also post-COVID as well. For example, like contactless check-in. How can we improve that, and how can we improve messaging in general and deliver real-time notifications? These are just some of the things that we're talking behind the scenes with them about, but they are very active.
Yeah, and one other question we usually like to ask about, because Founder Institute is a pre-seed stage. A lot of the founders who are first coming into the program are way earlier, from way before you had your first kind of customer segment of airlines. What are some of the challenges you faced in the early stage, maybe even pre-MVP? Any battle stories, how you went about solving some of those early product challenges?
As a B2B2C company, especially in the pre-C stage, to engage with the established brands could be a challenge. For example, Walmart put out there clearly saying that they're not working with company before Series A, especially for industry that is a little bit risk conservative. This become even more challenging. And one of the solution to kind of bypass or be able to penetrate these conservative walls is to align with your internal champions, to think about who is your product serves, and in that organization, if there's a person, he or she is going to get fired if this problem doesn't get solved, and that would be your best bet. Listen to what he or she has to say. Will help you a lot in terms of navigating the organization, give to understand what are the agenda for that brand you're targeting. That's challenging, but that's also the fun parts. You have the consumer front-end interface design, which is already pretty fun. And then you also have the sales side, business development, to have this in-person interactions with brands in your region, the outside region, to be able to understand how they operate their business. I think that's rewarding.
Yeah, and how? Yeah, that's really interesting, especially for like you said, for a big company, a big brand. You sort of, I don't know if you go into LinkedIn and like look at the org chart, but I assume there's a lot of research in thinking about that initial outreach, and that sales cycle is just kind of long and takes a lot of work. Yeah.
I think another good way to kind of penetrate into an organization is through networking as well, especially if you're involved in certain incubation programs that have like some type of connection with different companies via their network. That really helps.
Yeah, and remind us again. I know you did. Did you do that with AIG or which one? You guys did a vertical accelerator within the airline industry, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this is kind of a fun question I always like to ask founders. You know, you've obviously worked really, really hard to build the company where it is today. It's a really cool product that, yeah, it's easy for me to kind of see these other use cases that you're talking about. What's one thing that you've accomplished that you're really proud of?
Um, I think we've been made a lot of mistakes along the way. So every time when we fix a problem, that's already pretty rewarding. I think for me, the best moment is when you see your value proposition start to amplify that effect in real life, right? A few months ago, it was on a piece of napkin, and now it's being deployed somewhere in the world, and someone is enjoying it, whether it's a consumer or if it's a brand, to create those engaging moments. For me, that's already a reward for myself.
For me, I just enjoy seeing people's reactions to the email when they see it. I mean, initially the challenge was to try and get this to work, and then as soon as it works, that's a nice moment there. And then when you deliver it to your clients and then you bring it to life, and that's another great moment there as well. Especially when users out there are engaging with your email and you're seeing these metrics go towards the direction that you anticipated. Yeah, that's very great to see as well.
Yeah, the metrics you showed in the demo, I think, really demonstrate the value. Those that like 200%, 500%, 40% like increases. Those are, yeah, that's really, really awesome to be able to deliver that to your customer. That's so cool.
There's actually, sorry to cut you off there, but there's actually a lot of work that goes behind the metrics as well. It's not just the interactive email itself. We do a lot of like A/B testing in the back. We pull in certain datas that help us, dictate which direction to go in. So there is quite a lot of work behind the email itself.
For certain, yeah. One thing I really want to ask you about too is just advice, for other early stage founders, aspiring entrepreneurs who are just getting started. Maybe something that you wish you would have been told back when you were just getting started. Any kind of sage wisdom or general advice for people, maybe specifically who are building a product maybe like yours that's like B2B2C.
Recently, I've been looking at culture. So I encourage all my peers from Founder Institute to look at from early on. I never had the attention as much as today towards the culture of the team, just because back then we think we're small. These are things on the wall. You don't have to pay attention. You just spearhead it into the product and talk to your clients. But it's actually quite important. It's a magic powder that grows the seeds into a ooze bush and then into a forest. It's not just words on the wall. It's the code of conduct that your team agrees how you work and communicate internally and externally without saying those words. And moving forward, we'll definitely will promote our core culture within our team and to the external world, to the outside world as well.
I love that advice. Yeah, I think it's more important than kind of ever before. I think people are really seeing that, especially now as a lot of companies are transitioning maybe to remote work, or they're just going through changes in how their teams work together. Yeah, I totally think that that culture, that element is really important from day one. So yeah, good advice. Kind of question I want to end on. We can stretch it out or kind of keep it short and sweet. It's up to you guys. But you know, where's Sam Email heading next? Any news, updates to share with the community? Definitely want to encourage everybody to check out the campaign. But yeah, kind of what's on your horizon as you're going forward?
We're taking this opportunity to take Sam Email into a new phase that's beyond airlines and travel. We're taking this opportunity to announce our campaign on Start Engine to be officially kicked off. For early investors, we are offering a 10% of owner shares. So I encourage everybody in the Founder Institute community, the investors in the community, to share the news and check out the campaign page to join the journey and build a better, engaging, a more interactive way of communication for the future.
Awesome. Any final advice from you, Duncan, or anything else you want to say? It's about the campaign.
I think she said it all. But in terms of advice, I could always add on. As she mentioned, you know, we've been through our ups and downs. But my general advice is, you know, from a product person is, you know, listen to your customers, you know, get feedback, don't take anything to heart, you know, see what people do when they're engaging with your product. And then from there, you can kind of almost craft your product to become better. But if you're like stubborn, or if you got an ego and, you know, you don't listen to people's opinions, then I don't think you're going to really improve that much. So I think listening is very important. That's my top advice.
Yeah, definitely very applicable across almost any industry. Like, just listen, you know, carefully to the customer, but don't take anything too personally. Yeah, that's really good advice all around. But this has been a really enlightening conversation, and I know that we're looking forward to watching not just the campaign, but yeah, where Sam Email is headed sort of next into the future. And as somebody whose emails are generally pretty boring myself, I can't wait to see kind of some of these use cases and see the future of email these are more interactive and that you can do right inside there, because like you say, it's just such a better experience, I think, for the user. And I think anybody who spends a lot of time in their inbox will be grateful for kind of seeing this more dynamic and interactive emails become a part of their own regular life. So yeah, we just want to say thank you again to Xi and to Duncan for taking the time out of your day. We're going to make sure to share that link to the Start Engine campaign everywhere that we post this video. So if you're watching now, go ahead and click the link and go check it out, watch the video, and yeah, back the campaign. So thank you both for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you very much for having us.
Great to be back. Thanks.